Good morning, students. I am Tania Marshon Mascarenas from Rosary College, Navalim. I will be covering the topic psychology, that is the fundamentals of psychology, today. The title of the unit is Nature of Psychology, module name Psychology as a Science, beginning of psychology as a science, scientific way of thinking. The outline of today's lesson is psychology as a science, that is beginning of psychology as a science and scientific way of thinking. Learning outcome. To develop knowledge on historical trends in psychology, to understand the attitudes towards the scientific way of thinking. Here we are going to talk about the history of how psychology has evolved as well as the attitudes that we have towards the scientific way of thinking. Let us go to beginning of psychology as a science. From the time human language included the word why, people spoke of the past and created myths. This gave rise to philosophy and to rational investigation underlining the principles of being and knowledge. Psychology grew out of philosophical tradition of thinking about the mind and behavior and had its roots in natural sciences and in the principles of natural selection. When we speak about the principles of natural selection, we speak about Charles Darwin and his theory of survival of the fittest. Then we move on to the German physiologist J. Muller and others who propose the role of brain associated to incoming sensory information leading to appropriate motor responses. In the 19th century, conditions were ripe for scientific discipline, and some historians believe that modern psychology was born at the university in Germany. We will go now to defining psychology. The term psychology is derived from two Greek words, psyche meaning soul and logos meaning the science or the study of a subject. Psychology is the scientific study of the soul or mind. Psychology, therefore, is defined as the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Science because we use scientific methods to observe, describe, and predict. Behavior is everything that can be directly observed. Mental processes are our thoughts, our feelings, our motives that we experience privately but can be observed directly. Next, we move on to scientific ways of thinking. When we talk about scientific ways of thinking, we are talking about 4 attitudes that individuals have towards the scientific approach. First is curiosity. The second is skepticism. Third is objectivity. And fourth is thinking critically. Let us study each of these 4 attitudes in a little bit of detail. Being curious means that we ask questions. For example, we want to remember or we want to find out numbers are better remembered when they are paired with vivid colors than with neutral colors. Being skeptical people ask what evidence there is to an idea and question whether that evidence is strong enough to be accepted as accurate and factual. We want to know whether the evidence is correct, whether it's true and can be accepted. The third attitude is being objective. Scientists believe that the best way to be objective is to see things as they are, not as we would like them to be. Most of us want things to be our way, but in psychology, we have to see things as they really exist. What is factual? Thinking critical. Critical thinkers question what people say are facts. They examine research to see how sound it supports an idea. Critical thinkers always evaluate, always want to see whether what people say are facts is true. They go through research. They want to see whether the facts are supported by an idea. So when we talk about 4 attitudes in psychology, we have to see that curiosity, skeptical, is in the scientific method of thinking. The third step towards the scientific method is to conceptualize a problem. When you talk about conceptualize a problem, ask a question and state the hypothesis. When you talk about problem, we have to ask a question and find out what is the problem and what is the hypothesis. The next step is collect research information. To collect research information, we have to conduct an experiment. Experiments have to be conducted to collect research information. The third is to analyze data. Whatever information that we have acquired through the experiment has to be interpreted. Fourth, we draw conclusion. That is, we make a recommendation for future research. Now, in scientific method, that is attitudes, there are 2 key concepts in the scientific method. They are theory and hypothesis. A theory is a broad idea or a set of closely related ideas which explain certain observations that we have made. We used to make predictions about future observation. So when we have set of ideas, we have certain observation, which these observations are going to be used to explain future observation or future behavior. The next is hypothesis. Hypothesis is a tentative supposition or proposition made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. A hypothesis is a tentative supposition. We are proposing to find out whether this hypothesis is supported by our research, or this hypothesis is accepted, or this hypothesis is rejected. The next important aspect in the scientific methods is validity and reliability. When you talk about validity, we say a validity of a test or validity of a study is the extent to which the test measures what it is supposed to measure. If the test measures what it is supposed to measure, then we consider the test to be valid. We say a test is reliable is when the extent to which the research yields a consistent result. When you say then the test is reliable. So validity and reliability are very important components in the scientific method. A test is supposed to be good, or a scientific method is supposed to be accepted when it has high validity and high reliability. Reliability again is the extent to which research yields a consistent result. That is, when the same test is conducted again, the same results will be obtained, keeping in mind various other variables. Validity is the same, is the extent to which the test measures what it is supposed to measure. Does the test measures what you are interested in your study? Only then can you say that the test is reliable and the test is valid. Next, we move on to the references. For this part of the unit that I have completed, we have 3 references that one can refer to. Siclari, S.K. and Myers, that is 2015, Psychology 4th edition. Then we have Lahaye, B. Benjamin, Psychology as an Introduction, 10th edition. Tata McGraw-Hill, Higher Education. Santrock, the third book is Santrock, J.W., Psychology Essential 2, New Delhi, Tata McGraw-Hill Publishing Company Limited. Here, in order to understand psychology, one can also read various other books, or you can also refer to various tutorials on understanding the history behind psychology. Thank you, students.